Good morning, folks. You might be wondering how come I haven't had any more bear bait videos and why I haven't been doing that. Well, truck doesn't run. So what happened here, went to town here a while back and everything was running just fine and dandy, and it kind of sputtered and stalled like it was running out of gas, and then it would catch again and go, and I thought maybe there was water in the fuel, so I was going to get some of that engine gas dryer and injector cleaner, because this is fuel injected, and that turned out to be more expensive than I thought it was, so I just drove it on home, and next day I was down here on the fairgrounds, and it just flat out stopped. It just quit altogether, and the way it was acting was it wasn't getting any fuel. So I crawled underneath and I replaced the fuel filter, which is in a bad spot. It's underneath the passenger side of the frame, and it's down, kind of tucked up into the bottom of the frame by a little bracket, and it's held on with a couple of bolts and a hose clamp, and it was a hassle, but it wasn't that bad, and that did not fix the problem. So I thought, well, I'll pull off this gas line here. Underneath here, this little doo-wappy, that's a pressure regulator. And this is supposed to be a gas line going somewhere. There's several of them. This one's the easiest one to get to. I pulled it off, I turned the key switch to run, no gas. And I can't hear the gas pump either, the fuel pump. So I thought, well, it's got to be the fuel pump. And that is in the tank, and I've changed those before. They never go out when they're empty. They're always a full tank of gas, and to do it you have to take the whole gas tank out and usually dump gas all over yourself, and it's just a pain to do. And so this time it's a little bit scary to do, but I cut a hole in the bed above the gas or the pump so I could get to it. Because you are using a grinder on a chunk of metal throwing sparks above a gas tank, that was a little scary to do. So what I did is I cut through, not quite all the way through, and then hit the rest with a chisel and got that out of there, hopefully without throwing any sparks. These are supposed to be sealed, and it had about a 1/4 inch of dirt collected on the top of it from off the road, so it's probably reasonably safe, but still, it's a gas tank, so I was a little worried about doing that. But that is definitely the way to do it. I can just put a patch over that. Instead of taking several hours to get to that, it only took me about 10 minutes to pull that out. You just got a lock ring, and that whole pump just lifts out and put a new one in. Well, that was 80 bucks, and it didn't fix the problem. So I thought, well, maybe it is the fuel relay. So up under here, there's a little, it's shut anyway, there's a little square box. I replaced that for $22. That didn't fix it either. And then I got in the truck and I turned the key, and I realized that if it is on the start position, it will run. And when you bump it back to the run position, it dies. Like this. If you turn the key to start, back off just enough where the starter's not spinning anymore, it runs just fine. You let back to run and it stalls. So with that, I thought it must be the key switch. So I tore all this I tore all these covers and things off and got everything to it and dropped the steering column so you can get the things. On a Ford, and maybe others, your key switch, it's just the tumbler. It doesn't really do anything electrical. There is a wire coming off of it. It's a really light wire. I'm guessing that is for the bell to tell you that your key is left on or still in it, which doesn't work anyway. The way these work is you turn this, it's got a little kind of a T-shaped thing up inside of here that turns a gear that pushes on this rod right here, and it goes down, oops, let's see, goes down to that thing, and that is your actual switch that has all the wires on it. So I replaced that. Still doesn't work. And the bolts on there are slotted, so there is a little bit of adjustment where you can move it back and forth. I tried everywhere I could. That didn't work. If you push it forward further, which I would think would make it work, it still doesn't come back far enough to keep it in the running position. And when you turn the key backwards, none of the accessories work. So when you get these, let's see here, when you get these, this is the old one, they have this little wire clip on here, and I am told that that has to be in there in the right position with the key off, and the slots are so you can adjust it back and forth to get that right, bolt it all down tight, and then you pull that clip out of there and you plug your wires in. And what that does is that wire keeps this in the right spot, because this is the part that slides back and forth. That's your actual switch. So none of those things are working. That was another, I don't remember, 25 bucks. So one good thing about computers is there's a lot of info on there about things like this, and I spent half the night last night looking up forums and things, trying to figure out what's going on, and none of the Ford Ranger stuff really said much. I just punched in, engine will only run in the start position, and now it's telling me that it is your EDIC. And I thought, okay, what the heck is that thing? If you are in the market to buy a shop book, do not buy the Haynes. The Chilton's ones are a much better book. But this thing, it says EDIC ignition module. Disconnect negative cable, blah blah blah, remove the screws. It doesn't tell you where it is, what it looks like, what it does, anything. I had to look on the computer to see what EDIC even stands for. It says it stands for Electronic Distributorless Ignition System, or the Ignition Control Module is also what it's called. I had to look on the computer to find out where it is, because the book wasn't tell you. And it turns out it is tucked back up under here someplace. I can kind of see it. It's too dark in here to tell. But you can't really get to it without pulling the battery out. So that is my next order of the day, is to take that out and spend another probably 50 bucks or so to find out that that's not the problem. And if it turns out that that is not the problem, it is probably the computer control box, which is tucked back up under here, way back under there, where you can barely see the wires coming from it and nothing else. So anyway, that is why I have not been bear hunting. I am way behind on my leather work, way behind on my weed chopping and the job, my actual job I have to do, and I just haven't had any time between broken trucks and leather work and jobs and maybe going fishing. First time I've been fishing in years. Well, I can't say that. I did last Memorial Day, not Memorial Day, what is it? Labor Day weekend. But anyhow, I'll keep working on this and let you know how it turns out. Well, I got it out, and it is a EDIS. I don't know, I kept saying C, EDIC. It's EDIS. It's a Motorcraft little gizmo that makes the doodad and the doohickey work together to make the dang thing run. Hopefully. I don't know. I'm hoping that this does the trick. Vehicles. I think the Amish have the right idea. So, all that here before was about a week ago. I'm still not having any luck. I replaced down in here the EDIS, why do I keep saying C module? That didn't do it. So I pulled out the computer brain box down in there. That I thought they could test. They can't test it unless it's running. I replaced the crank position sensor. I took the steering column back apart and took the ignition switch off. Tried to work that with a screwdriver. That didn't do anything. That's what the Ford Garage people told me to do. So, I'm stumped. I don't know what to do with this thing. I think here as soon as I can, I'm gonna run it into the shop. I'm lost. Mechanical stuff that you can look at and realize, okay, that's wore out. I can fix that. That's no problem. Electronic stuff, I'm completely lost. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you sometime soon as I get something back onto the road and drivable again. The Jeep over here, it has brake problems. I need to replace the brakes. I got an adapter kit that will let me use the Suzuki Samurai disc brakes instead of the pads. But all that takes time to tear into. This one, it has better brakes, but it doesn't have much compression. I need to go through that engine completely too. So anyway, as soon as I get something to drive, see you next time. Bye.